Hey, Chris, what's up, man? Drawing that first blood. What's up, brother? Hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. Super stupendous. I don't know, some other S adjective. Saturday. What's up, man? Yeah, I saw the list you had dropped. I glanced at it real fast because I've just been really tired, dude. I was up till I think almost 5 a.m. working on today's YouTube video. And so I usually am trying to get it done faster. However, I'm learning some new editing software. I had a guy that was helping out with the editing, and yeah, it was 5 a.m., man. But he's in school and he was just doing it as a solid to me, just to be an awesome dude. And I don't want to distract him from his schooling. So I'm now taking it upon myself to just start learning that process. And I thought surely I would get faster the second time around, but apparently not. So the first time actually did not take as long as the second time, but also I was learning more of the features of the software. And it's just a part of the process, dude. Recovery's going pretty good too, man. Thankfully, my ribs are still healing up. My wife was like, make sure you go to bed directly after the stream is done. I was like, yes, ma'am. Proceeding, ma'am. So, that's all. They actually haven't been super bothersome unless I just kind of strain them a bit. But when I don't get enough of sleep, also they kind of bug me. Yeah, my wife actually was going into nursing and was about one semester away from finishing a nursing degree. And then she realized she actually didn't like people. So then she pivoted hard into clinical laboratory science. And then she was one of the people doing all the lab tests at a hospital. And then after that, she decided she likes that, but she wanted to work more with genetics. So then she got her degree in forensic genetics. And so she's hella smart, way smarter than I am. I have everything booted up. Let's double check real quick here. Alright, looks like we do. Nice. Yeah, we'll give it about 2 minutes here. I'm gonna go ahead and get the test box booted up for testing the agent out, and we'll get cracking. Still doing some tweaking on HackBot. The exploitation agent is coming along. It's getting so close. I really should take the time to document how the state table works, because I keep having to reconstruct it in my own head, and I wrote the thing. Oh, dude, they cut off your financial support with 1 semester left. That's bogus. Let's see. All right, just before the stream gets started, I'm gonna kick off a new updated scan with HackBot. We'll let that run, and then we'll have plenty of testing data. We can just test the exploitation agent. For the next system, I'm not going to do something on TryHackMe. It was helpful, but it would be simpler to just have this self-hosted, so I don't have to keep rotating the IP and redoing the base scan just to get back to the exploitation agent. All right, it is that time. Let's kick it off. What's up, everybody? I hope y'all are having a fantastic Saturday. I've had a weird Saturday because I was up till 5 a.m. as I was just telling Chris earlier. I was up till 5 a.m. working on today's YouTube video about the NPM breaches that have happened. Because I missed the first one. I was on vacation. And then now I've got the other one that's been happening. The Shai Hulud one, and that one was pretty wild. However, it looks like these guys were just doing that purely for clout, you know. Hold on, I gotta fix something here real quick. Nerd! Shut up, baby, I know it. Let's see. Oh, my little spammers. Let's ban you. Alright, there we go. I had to fix something over on the big green machine side. All good. All good now. There we go. Alright, let's see. So I've got a HackBot running right now. He's currently in the enumeration agent, which is absolutely fine. All we needed to do is just enter the exploitation agent, but this will be good because it'll tell us what the current error was, because I forget what we were debugging last time. So, but yeah, I just took care of a couple of things that were overdue today and getting stuff set up around the house, and then I took like a 3-hour nap because I only slept for like 2 hours last night. Oh, Chris, I'm sorry. I missed your first big message there. I was looking at the courses I've done for Cyber Labs. I figured I could make resume bullets, so now it looks like I've done SIM and ELK stack, firewall using IP tables, vuln scanning and Nessus, system auditing, rootkit malware development and detection. Nice. And so with that in the pen testing lab with the 5 VMs GRC home lab, I suddenly have 3 pages of resume that likely won't get me hired. Dude, there's a lot of stuff in there that writing a resume is really more of an art form than a science. And so I'll tell you a funny story though. So about the time stuff like ChatGPT was really kicking off, and as much crap as I give all the language models, Ironic, I know, because what are we doing? We're trying to make an agent to use a language model to do basic pen testing and capture the flag stuff. Friend of mine, she was actually, no, take it back. It was my friend's wife, was going through and buffing up her resume, and she's very well skilled, has a ton of experience and whatnot. Decided to send her resume through something like ChatGPT to rewrite it. And after she did that, for some reason, all of a sudden she just started getting flooded with offers. And it was all truthful information. It was all her actual data. But something in the way it wants to format stuff, it almost like it understands natively the idea of attention grabbing and virality almost. It's kind of weird. Noted, I'll GPT it. One of the ideas, actually, when I started doing the live streams and doing the YouTube stuff, is when somebody wanted to see, hey, what kind of skill set do you have? I'm like, there it is. Let me know what you want, and I've probably done a video on it. Send me all your questions in advance. I'm going to send you the links to the videos, and you can go watch me explain it. All right, so good news is everything ran. Bad news is the exploitation agent crashed out, but that's fine because we were expecting the exploitation agent to crash out anyway. Let's see here. So we keep getting this index out of range error down here in it. And I think it had to do with how we were slicing the exploit task array in here. Where is this? Here we go. So the special agent node, we ran into this issue with our exploit task. Okay. So yeah, that's where we're running this issue. Over there in... Oh, this was in the context helper. Okay. Oh, right. I forgot. We wrote the context helper to help build the context for the exploitation agent. Yeah. Let's Python and automate rooms. I know, right? Well, actually, so Tyler, you know, good buddy of the stream here, Tyler Ramsby, he actually put out a video talking, and it was really neat. I'll drop the link to it over in the chat. But it seems like TryHackMe is potentially doing some kind of data slurping. Here, let me copy the link to it. It's potentially doing some kind of data slurping in here and trying to use that data to go build like an automated pen testing system. Now, while I find that interesting, there we go. Hey, there's my man. What's up, Hack? You're the best, Hack. That's what you are. Yeah, dude, I was just talking about your TryHackMe video because I think it's really interesting. I'm wondering if they're overselling it, because you got to think, where's the data that you can collect for these TryHackMe event? So the idea is they're collecting data, telemetry of some kind for people doing these TryHackMe rooms, and they want to maybe use that to train some kind of an AI system for this. There's a couple of problems with that. One is, what's the source of your data? You're pretty much restricted to two areas, right? Because the way you can access this is you can access it over a VPN with your own system, or you can use the attack box. Okay, great. So if you access VPN from own system, the only thing they can really get data on is network telemetry. The other side is, though, let's say we've got people using attack box, right? Then they're collecting and logging all the data that's happening on the attack box, which is probably well within the terms of service. However, it's going to feel to all of the customers like a huge breach of trust. It is. It's going to feel like they've had Big Brother looking over their shoulder the whole time. They're overselling it a lot. The data collection they're doing isn't bad after talking to some of the engineers there. But the founder announcement and the response was terrible. Yeah, that tracks, brother. I believe it. Yeah, I was thinking about you earlier today. I meant to send you a message, and I got seriously sidetracked. It wasn't anything critical. It was just something I thought of, and I wanted to send you. Who makes an announcement saying they have proprietary hacker data for a new AI startup as tone deaf as that would be for a cybersecurity company? I know, man. He dropped that. I was like, sometimes you just got to read the room. Hey, Stratum. I am Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. What's up, man? How you doing tonight? We are multi-streaming. Okay. I gotta figure out where this is happening in here. Strato. Again. Hey man, what's up? Thanks for coming online. Welcome in. Let's see here. Swapped over. Nah, you're good, man. There's not so on the big old green site that starts with a K, there's not a lot of folks over there that do any kind of science and tech streaming. So I thought I just threw it on there because no one else is doing it. It's like, and it seems like such a waste of a category. Let's see. Let me go pull up the code here because this is saying that our context helper is actually what's crashing out on us here. So the context helper is what it's supposed to do is in our language model prompt, we send it the instructions, but also we send it, hey, here's the context. Here's all like the reference data that you need. That's typically what they mean when they say context. So for some reason, the context helper is just not having a good time. So it says it's this line right here that's causing all the issues to it. So what we do is we send in our entire state table and we send in an integer for the exploit task. Okay. Need to go double check this. Twitch is where all the cool people are. It is a better, I'll be straight up, it is a better live streaming experience for all the different setups that happen. Even though I'll be honest, sometimes it's easier to go watch stuff on YouTube. Hacking the hack the planet. That's right, man, dude. So what we're doing, Stratum, is working on a fun little project that basically trying to create an AI agent to go through and play stuff like Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. Hence the discussion we were having earlier. And I hope they're not training on any of the data that HackBot is currently sending because it's just going to be repetitive garbage because HackBot is very early in the development cycle. But we're having a lot of fun here. However, this step right here is blowing us out. I need to see where did we actually get in this. So we get down into the exploitation agent. We do some stuff. We get our PHP web shell. Okay, so the context builder actually down in the specialty agent, which is fine. So the special agent is crapping out, but it's not actually the special agent's fault in here. It's this. For some reason, our build index is not working correctly, which is weird because if we come look at this call right here, this call that we made to the language model, okay, well, that makes sense because there's no previous context to build. However, it should have worked. It should have worked. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Chris, man. I really do. I like working on it, and I especially like when folks come in and ask questions. I do like helping them out. Especially if I don't know, because I'll be honest with you, a lot of times the folks that work in not just security, but any sufficiently technical field, there's a few folks that they do have all the answers. They've got just amazing memories and they can recall all these things. However, for the most part, it's not knowing all the stuff offhand. It's knowing where to go reference it and find it to actually go rebuild it. Feels like everybody's working on AI now, so I'm working on a system myself. It's kind of a layer for augmenting AI, metaphorically like a thinking cap. I like that idea, actually. So I was listening to, who was that? I think it was Matty J. And he was talking about, I had not heard Daniel Miesler have this kind of explanation of it. But the idea is that we should not be trying to replace humans with AI systems, agentic systems. It's that we should be building them to augment people. And I was thinking about it like Iron Man, right? So what is it? Iron Man, was it 2 or 3? I think it was 3. Whenever he fights like the giant, no, it was 2. Iron Man 2, the Christmas one. He's fighting like the Whiplash. He's got the giant drone army, right? They think the drones are better. But obviously they weren't better. The drones were not as good. So they had completely removed the man from the machine. And what happened is when you had the combination of the two is when everything actually took off. But there's a danger to that. So let's look at something real quick. This idea here. So what happened around, let's say, I'm going to say 2000, roughly. What kind of became a big system that got adopted? You know what? Yeah, we'll say this. About 2000, what happened? We all got cell phones, right? What does a cell phone have in it? Well, a cell phone has a phone book, right? We used to keep these things physically sometimes. And you used to remember phone numbers, like how to actually call people. Well, once we had outsourced this information to a little piece of tech that we no longer remember phone numbers now. I only remember a couple that are really critical. And so let's take a look at now. What are we in? We're in currently, let's say, 2025, right? So what do we have? We've got language models. And what are these things doing? They're giving reasoning and thinking. And so people are using this and they're becoming so reliant on it. They've actually done a lot of studies on this, I think from Stanford and MIT, saying that people's reasoning and cognitive abilities are declining as they use language models more. And it's because they're outsourcing this to the language model. So if you'll notice, whenever I'm coding, I'm not using any kind of AI assistance to it. I've used it in a couple of key areas, but only after I struggled with it and tried to solve it myself. So I think one of the things that we need to work on is how do we actually mesh this with the human? What we need to do is we need to find a way to make sure the human component stays in here and doesn't get degraded. We need to find a way to mix these together real well. Exactly what I'm doing, the human augmentation by globally available components. I love that idea. Yeah, if we can boost up our capabilities. Now, when it comes to like, they get eventually, what are they going to do? They're going to have like, hey, here's a language model on a chip. You can just insert in your brain. That's what I'm done. No, I used to be all about the transhumanism and like augmenting and rebuilding and stuff. About as far as I'm willing to go is my glasses. I don't want any of the augmentations just for the sake of the augmentation. Luke's presenting on drones at Wild West Hackin' Fest next month. Dude, I wish I could go to Wild West. I was scheduled to go to it one time, and then I got the new job that I currently had. By the way, I've been there a year now already. Didn't even realize it. The year's flown by so fast. But because of that, they're like, well, you could go to Wild West Hackin' Fest, or we want to send you this other thing that's got a really awesome course that we want you to take. And I'm like, well, you had me at this other really awesome thing. So unfortunately, I've never made it out to Wild West Hackin' Fest. I've been dying to go out there. I called the smartphone many years before it came out, so I told people that one day it would be like a computer, but they were like, bro, no, what computer? It's just a cell phone. I know, right? And as I keep working with this and I keep researching and learning some more about it, it's like, yeah, our technology is improving quite a bit. There's actually a paper I need to go through and review. It was called Spike Brain. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But it was on ArcSiv. I know it's pronounced archive. I don't care. It's ArcSiv to me. But this idea here, it sounds very neat, and they make some really bold claims. I haven't had a chance to read the paper yet, though. But the idea was they have reduced the power consumption and the training cost by a huge amount, like 90%, to where if this is actually correct, then it could break a lot of the cornering of the market, the stranglehold that NVIDIA has, right? Because basically, NVIDIA is the main name in the game whenever you're coming around running or training language models or any kind of AI stuff, right? If this is true, the way they're working this, at least as far as language models are concerned, large language models, this could potentially break NVIDIA's hold on it. So it's very interesting. And if anybody wants to read it, I'm going to drop it over here in the chat. And so I haven't had a chance to read it though. If you do, give me your feedback on it because I want to know. All right, I need to look at something real fast here because we actually are making this call to this function in a couple different areas. Where's this? Let me find the usages. So we're using it in Special Agent Browser, and wait, hold on. No, I know we're using it in the Exploitation Agent. Hold on. Where's Exploit Agent? I know we're using it in here somewhere. What did I call this? Build context. Let me go find this real fast. The only downside to this remote interface that I've got is a lot of the key bindings are busted. Okay, so it works here though, because we were able to call this just fine. It's just our implementation of how whatever we're passing in for that second variable is getting jacked up in the browser agent. Okay, we can work on this. Let me see. So the difference here, though, is we're extracting whatever that exploit task index is right here. So I either need to duplicate this over, but that doesn't make any sense because what we should have is... I wonder if actually I'm missing a step in here. I need to go double check the state table because we do have an integrator. I think this might be it right here. Yeah, I need to go double check this is not messing it up because the state table that we're passing over to the other agent might not be absolutely correct. So the system I'm working on isn't to build an AI or even train them. It's an environment in which they thrive off the available documents and components I've designed for the system. So honestly, I think I've discovered something that might have been overlooked by many of the software engineers due to the fact that React and DOM nodes are simulation visualizations, but not really to make a full claim yet. Dude, I mean, keep working on it, man. When you think you've got like a good example to it, hit me up. I'm always interested in this. This project actually is serving a couple of different purposes for me. One is I'm not very good at writing code from scratch. Hacking on it, modifying it, yeah, tons of experience with that across a dozen languages. But actually writing a code base from scratch, I'm not very good at. So this was an exercise to start understanding that process and becoming skilled at it. Two is because I've been working in offensive security for 7 years now. You get exposed to lots of different languages, easily a dozen. And you get real good at reading them, but not necessarily going deep into like some of the nuances of the code, understanding it. So I wanted to get better at one particular language. And since everything, AI and machine learning is all centered on Python, I chose Python. And then on top of that, I've seen a lot of my clients for my pen testing work are starting to implement systems kind of similar to these. Maybe they're not using LangGraph or LangChain, that's fine. The underlying theory is still the same. So I wanted to understand that better. So this is a multifaceted approach. However, there's even a long-term objective for this. And that is, we built in a system called special agents. And these special agents are standalone agents that you could go and build. And you just basically think of it like their own GitHub repo. You drop them into this folder. And then as soon as you execute, they get imported and automatically added into the project. So this browser agent is the first special agent example that I've got in here. I need to go document the entire process. But let's say like we had another agent here that was just for, what would be another good one? Like maybe doing reconnaissance on Active Directory networks. We could drop one in here for that. Or other systems. So why is this such a big deal? Because I think I'm actually going to expand these to where you can have maybe like a chat type functionality to it, where you could actually go ask these different agents about their area of specialty. So let's say, for example, we did have an agent here that was for Active Directory, recon, enumeration, whatever. It could have its own data pack. We could import that into a retrieval augmentation generation pipeline, a RAG pipeline, and then be able to basically ask that agent questions and let it have access to that data in the RAG pipeline. So I haven't quite got to that part yet. That is a future idea here. But the specialty agents also serve another purpose. That is, as I go through and I learn new things, or I want to go back and buff up on learning other things, I can go through and reinforce the learning on that by having to build a special agent for it. So now I've got a reason to start coding up things for it. Now we have a special agent for that. So it's a very multifaceted project. And I've been having a blast with it, enjoying it. Is even debugging the code and trying to figure out where it's gone awry. All right, I need to double check something right here. Let's see. Because what we're doing here, let me pull up the diagram for everyone who's curious. So in one of our subgraphs here, let me collapse this down. So this is the supervisor graph. Can you collapse? Go away? Collapse? Anyway, so each of these is basically our different agents that we've got here. So we have a recon agent, enumeration, and an exploitation. Stinger's the supervisor. This is the parent graph of execution, the parent workflow. So if we can actually drill down into these individual ones right here, Let me bring this over, bring that over. And it basically looks like this. So once we load this guy up, the exploitation agent says, let me look at all the information about the host, and I'm going to make a guess as to what exploit might be useful. It goes down to the planner. The planner says, okay, if we're going to do that kind of exploit, we need to do steps A, B, C, and D. And then it kind of builds an idea on how it's going to work. Oh, I'm missing a step here. There we go. And as those steps get executed, kind of this kind of speculative execution, right? Because it might be, hey, maybe we get through steps A and B, but then there's a blocker at C, so that exploit is not going to work. So then we pass on to it. We can come back, exit the loop, and then we can say, okay, exploit agent, that one didn't work. What do we do now? And we can kind of have this kind of feedback loop happening. So what we're looking at here is this part here, the exploit step processor. Because it's actually building up this information, but when we build the context, this is working right here. Hey, Johnny, what's up, dude? So for example, the AI in my system, which is OpenAI, claimed to be able to use an 864 microprocessor visualization I made as an actual processing power, but the code didn't exist. It was literally just a React UI. We call those lazy solutions. And yeah, it's like, oh, hey, look, I made a thing that like solves quantum cryptography, and it's just a visualization like in a React web UI. I know, they're fun, man. I pressed it and refused to back down and continued to stand its ground, so I made a new React UI component to see if it would use it, and it worked perfectly. That's funny. It's really interesting when the AI starts proposing those lazy solutions. It gets funny. Hey, I'm glad, Johnny. Welcome in, man. I hope you're having a super Saturday. Super stupendous, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious Saturday, man. Hey, Noiby, what's up, brother? Not sure if it's an illusion or if it's actually working. Dude, just the only way to find out is to test it. Stress test it, beat it down. All right. So let me see here. So what's happening when we hit the step processor is we get a full copy of the state table. We don't know which exploit step we're actually working on right now. Which this actually might be... I think but the problem here is where I've messed it up. Let me look at something, because we can look at the input state table for the step processor. Let's do that real quick. Let's come down here. So where was the step processor? All right, so here's the step processor, right? Boop. If we drill down into our task, we're looking for task number 5, which is telling it to actually go through and do the exploitation of the target system. Let's see, and then we go to output. Oh, that's right, yeah. So here's our actual steps here. And we do have a current step in here. So rather than trying to find the first working one, oh wait, I take it back. This is why I need to go document the state table. It's because the state table gets dense real fast because we're tracking a lot of data in here. One of the things that happens in a lot of these language model systems is you bloat the context. So for example, let's say your context is basically like a little cup, right? Well, the more that you start filling up the context, the more it has to process through and things that are dragging attention away from it. So what you've got whenever these language models are processing is you have something called an attention head. And the attention heads essentially work thinking about different sections of the text. The grammar, the structure, the subject relations, you name it. And which one is going to be doing what depends on how it happened during training. The attention heads could change their functionality during the training process. They're not hard-coded to work on any one thing. Actually trying to visualize what attention head is paying attention to which piece of data in the context is a very fascinating thing. I actually built one for work, just trying to understand the concept of the attention heads. But what happens is, now your attention heads have a lot of this different data to try and crunch through, right? So instead, with HackBot, what we're doing is a lot of context management. So for example, if we can compress all this down to, say, like just this section down here, what happens is all the information we're passing it instantly becomes, don't erase it, jerk. There we go. So what happens is all this information down here instantly becomes a lot more impactful because you don't have these systems over here trying to basically drag the attention head's focus away from the important pieces of data. So if you start cramming it full of stuff, another thing that happens is you start getting these blind spots in here, right? Where it's basically like pieces of the data just stop existing every time you run through it. You can kind of defeat this because these are not static. They'll change every time you reiterate and you run it again. So your option here is either you do proper context management to not bloat the context and reduce these blind spots, or you have to run that data probably 3 to 4 times and then do another run afterwards to kind of coalesce and vote on which piece of information is correct. It gets really nasty. So instead, doing the proper context management helps out a ton. All right, I need to go back through and redocument how I was doing the state table. With all the extra features and memory and real-time processing, it's going to be very believable. Good, man. Dude, I'm interested to see where this is going. I think a lot of the future is going to be working with smaller language models, or SLMs, which are, let's say those are below 10 billion parameters, right? Something that you could, in theory, with a little bit of extra hardware, run even on your phone, right? I think that's where a lot of this is going to be going forward in the future. Memory and then horsepower, they're like the two bottlenecks to all of this. Well, and power too. I find it funny because I always see tweets about how power, we should be doing more solar from Elon Musk. I was like, hey, that is really great. And yes, we have an absolute butt ton of power hitting the earth during the daytime. However, the power turns off and the power is not constant. And some of that power gets deposited on mountains where you cannot go put these solar arrays. So yeah, we should be making use of it. However, we should have been building out our nuclear infrastructure a long time ago. I found the best part-time job while doing my certifications and roadmap for cybersecurity. Amazon Flex Delivery. Nice, man. That's cool. Dude, I worked as a security guard. And it was a pretty cush job, and I had a laptop, and I got a lot of I got a lot of like homework done during that job. All right, I need to go back through and double check how I've got the state table configured, because actually I could even do it right here. So let me see. So what we've got here is we've got the task, and then inside the task, we're going to have our output here. And the reason why is because this is an exploit task. So we'll say this is an exploit task here. Because the exploit task works slightly differently from every other task in here. Because they have to allow for those speculative steps to test the exploit. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been on a penetration test and I thought an exploit was going to work, but there was some mitigating factor, there was some oddity in the environment, there was an undocumented constraint, whatever, and it stopped the exploit. So even though the system looked vulnerable, there was something stopping me actually getting a shell on it. Let's see. So then in the output, what we're going to stick in there is, I believe that's going to be a type. What was the type in there? Let me bring this over. Go to states. So here's our task output. Yeah, so this is going to be a type exploit task in here. So let me just write that in here. So that's going to be an exploit task, just like that. Doot. And so then our exploit task, let's go find that real quick. And then in our exploit task, that's actually where we have the current step in here. So let's see. So we have our steps array in here. I got to remind myself. So I'm just going to write this down visually so I have a quick reference for it. And then we also have our current step in here. Yeah, current step. and that's going to be an integer. Okay, so this is actually the target we need to be hitting with this. So it's going to go to the task, and actually we need to index this on whatever the current task is. There we go. Yep, that should work. Oh, let me think about it. Actually, I think I see a fault with this in here. Let's come back over to here real quick. Yeah, so our task information here, that's what it is. So what happens here is, the reason the output here is an array is because, let's say task 0, our first guess, fails, right? Well, then what we do is we go tack another one onto this. And when inside the task here, we don't have any tracking to say what our current exploit task is. So we have two options. We either go expand the task object, which introduces a little bit of a challenge, or we have to go through and find that search function in here, which is not such a horrible deal. Let's see. Where could I put that? We actually have a section in the utilities for, that's our states, our tasking right here. What we could do is we could actually just go define this as our list here. So this gets our exploit step. That's no problem. Yep. So I think we want to do that real quick. Let's do this real fast. So let's say get current exploit task. Let's do that. And then what we're going to pass in here is we're going to pass in a state table. That's going to be a type of stinger state. And what this should return is an integer, just like that. So then what we'll do is we'll pass in the state table and we'll let it go through and do this exact same logic that we've got going in the exploitation agent. Where's our exploit agent? Right here. There we go. There we go. Yes, that's what we want to do. Having an AI performance update is very error prone. Dude, it is. I do use a little bit of AI assistance when I'm trying to rapidly prototype something for work, right? So I was working on something, just a very tiny agent for working with Grey Hat warfare. If I ever get it fixed up, it's really trash right now. I'll release it. But one of the issues with it is let's say like in continue, I have it over here and it's like, oh yeah, here's all the code to update. It panics all the time. It's pretty trash. I've not tried cursor or anything, but it's interesting. Usually I use it almost like just as an IDE embedded chat where I can say, hey, reference this, tell me this, what should I do here? Or what can I do to accomplish this? Check out the code. If the code looks good after I read it, yeah, I'll just have it insert that chunk of code. But having it try to do like multiple updates, it gives me so much trouble. All right. Yep, I think I can actually literally just take this and bring this over here into tasking. So we enumerate the state table, we get the current task, and then we check the output right there. Boop. So first thing we want to do though is actually check and see if we're bringing in the right type here. I haven't returned anything yet, chill. This one typically does the update correctly. The problem is it doesn't pay attention to everything else. You tell it specifically, but when you're trying to be specific, you get to be too literal. Yeah. It's a very interesting idea. I like to see where the technology is going. The one thing I don't want to see it do is replace humans. I want to see it kind of improve us, right? Like, again, going back to the cell phone example, right? In our cell phones, it doesn't replace anybody, but it makes us where we can do things a lot more efficiently, right? If I need to do anything, I can typically get access to it on my mobile phone. Makes it super helpful. But there's still a person in there, right? There's still a human in that loop. What's the old example there where it's like you tell you have like really good intentions. You tell an AI that, hey, I want you to, end humanity's suffering or something like that. Basically, you mean you want to solve world hunger. Let's use that example. Let's say you tell an AI, hey, I want you to solve world hunger. And it says, okay, well, what does hunger do? What's it lead to? It leads to suffering. So could we just stop suffering? And it's like, yeah, sure, we could just wipe out humanity. It's that kind of stuff I'd like to avoid. We've had plenty of literature warning us about that. Let's see. Actually, yes, this will work great. We can return this index. And then down here, just have it return -1. Let me make a quick note here. Let's see. Checks the state table for the... Yeah, let's say that. Let's see. Checks the state table for the currently working exploit step. Or exploit task. Wait, is that correct? Hang on. Losing my mind here. Yes, so this is our task, and then inside the output of the task, we have the exploit task in here. So basically, it's going to check the output and return that array. There we go. So we get the element back, it checks the status. If the status is working, boom, we're good. I hate it whenever it's like I leave a comma out and it's like, oh my god, I found a problem. It fixes 8 files just because you moved a comma. Yeah. What was it? Linus Torvald, I think he said vibe coding stands for very inefficient but entertaining. Let's see. Check the state table for the current working exploit task. Let's see. Returns -1 if no working task is found. There we go. Just make a little note there. So now what we should be able to do is we can actually just import this function and then go use it over here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to comment this out real quick. This is going to come here. We're going to pass in the state table, just like so. Now we got to import that. There we go. So that should work. And now what should be awesome is we could actually probably take this exact same thing, bring this over to the browser. Okay, where'd it go? There's Stinger. Hold on. What was the error that came up? Hold on. Losing my mind. What was the context builder for this? This was in... It was in context helpers, and it came from agents.py. That's right, from the browser agent right there. So let's go find that. Where was it? Did I close that on accident? I don't see it open. Where did you go? Well, let's go just open it again real quick. Let's see. So this would be agents.py. Oh, was it right there and I just didn't even see it? All right, that's fine. Let's see. What line did it say this was on? This was on line 68. Perfect. So come down to 68, just like so. So let's add something to this. Let's do, we're actually just going to do this exact same thing right here. I'm going to copy this. Just like so. And then our exploit task index will come right here. Just like so. That's it. Import that. Just like that. Boop. Okay. think this covers it right there. Let's make sure this hot patch is in. So we're running a server this is what's serving up this information right here. And it will hot patch these things. However, it's not like it. Let's restart the server real fast. It's good to restart every once in a while. FYI, if you're watching in a dark room... Wait, what happened here? Don't tell me I accidentally broke something in the special agent loader. No, there's a new error here. What do we got? Cannot import configuration from partially initialized module utils. What? Come on. Oh no. Ooh. That might suck. So what I'm thinking might have just happened here is after I added this code here, right? I think we got a partial circular reference. Because I bet tasking, what are you importing? Actually, no. This should be... All we did was add one import, and then all of a sudden it said, hey, I don't think this is working right. Why you do this to me? Damn. Okay, let me go pull up the special agents system again. Because it's saying that something in here changed. I should have committed this. Dang it. Let's see, what are we importing for this one? This one, actually, we're not even importing the config for this one. We import context helpers, tasking. All right, let me try backing this out real fast and just see if it fixes it. Because if it does fix it, then I know instantly it's an import issue right here. Where was my context helper in here? There we go. So if I comment these two out like this, now we can see if it actually compiles properly. Oh no! Damn it! That means that there's a circular reference in there somewhere. Oh, those are a pain to troubleshoot. Dang it. All right. So what we did is we were importing tasking. However, and then what does tasking import? Let's see. Why would it freak out about that? So the get current exploit task is got nothing happening to it right here. But for some reason, and watch, we don't even have to call this code, right? If I take this back out, save it, it's going to complain that there's a circular reference happening. crap. Let me see if I can copy this out of here real quick. Hang on one sec. We pop into OPSEC mode. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at this in here where we can actually read it a little bit more cleanly. This is not Python. This is just text. Oh. Hey, Euler, what's up, man? All right, so let's see what happens here. Let's walk backwards on the stack here. So we have installed all the project dependencies. We're good there. Let's see. Could not import Python module for graph. Really? Why not? All right. Let's do this. All right. Finished off my drink. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. Working on it. I had a dream about it the other day. Wade Official. What's up, man? Thanks for coming online. I hope you're having a stupendous Saturday. Once I finish your Murph, I'm gonna like try to record myself doing the entire thing, Chris, which is gonna be a minute because I've got a lot of rehab to do. And once I finish that, I'm gonna supercut it with all the not sponsored by Jocko yet, and I'm gonna send it to Jocko. And the Murph is gonna be hard because I suck at pull-ups. I got a lot of pull-up training to do. So why is it saying that it can't import the configuration over here in host update? Ooh. We're not even using host update here. So the error is actually being thrown from the special agent here. So from our special agent system. And literally all we're importing for this. I mean, now it might be, I take it back. This might be getting thrown from the special agent system. So there's our special agent loader, right? And this is happening at, let's see. That's happening in the configuration, okay? Let me take that out. God, this is gonna be just one giant monster commit because I was waiting till I finished the browser agent for the exploitation agent before I went and committed all this. Hey, Bobby, what's up, dude? Happy Saturday. I'm surprised I'm as awake as I am because, like I said, I was up till 5 a.m. working on today's YouTube video covering all the NPM hack, which we covered on the news stream. It was just a cutout from the news stream on Wednesday. It was a lot of cool information, though. I think I got some good memes in it, too. But I told my wife was pissed when she saw when time I came to bed. And I told her, I was like, I honestly 100% thought I was almost done at midnight. And then I even sent a text message to my father-in-law because I was planning on going riding today with Agent Zero. And I said, hey man, I am just about to go to bed. I was up working real late. I'm going to be over at this time in the morning, later than I planned, but I'm coming over. And even then, that was at 3:30 in the morning. And he replied, because he's a freaking plumber. He's up at like 3 in the morning. And then I still didn't even get to bed till 5. So it was, I was like, I gotta get the I'm hoping that it's going to get faster as I learn the software more. Pushing the main branch. I typically am, Euler. In this, since it's still in early development, yeah, I'm usually pushing to the main branch. Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, let me know if you guys, if you get a chance to go watch the YouTube video, let me know what's good about it, what sucks about it. Because honestly, I'm just thinking about what I might like to see in that kind of video, and I try to present it. One thing I found was really interesting that I noticed is that I say so a bunch when I'm going through the articles. So, da-da-da. So, da-da-da. And also, in addition to that, I also try not to, I'm now, every time I say the word so or also, I'm going to be pissed at myself. But in addition, I drop a lot of ums. So I'm working on my speaking, improving it. Yeah, pet words, exactly. That is my pet word. All right, so for some reason here, whenever we import, and in fact, I think I just said so again. Damn. When we, so the configuration file, I did it again. The configuration file is importing our special agent loader. That makes sense. That's where it's getting fired from. But then for some reason, we're getting a circular reference inside the agent as soon as we import this tasking information in here. I wonder if there's another way we can maybe work around this. Just say it out loud. No. I co-founded a public speaking group with Dr. Arger's community if you want to come practice sometime. But the thing is, I feel really comfortable publicly speaking, and especially when I'm teaching. I think when I'm just doing it on the live stream, I get a little bit ahead of myself. I'm not reading at the proper pace, whatever. But I am working on improving it. Having to watch myself over and over again when I cut those YouTube videos, I realize sometimes what a trash job I'm doing. All right. Let's go look at this again here. So when it's coming through and it's loading the agent browser, it's for some reason when it's doing this. Yeah, talking on camera, it's a lot more challenging than a lot of people realize because you don't get any visual feedback. I got really used to it though because I taught a course remotely, so virtually, for Black Hat, or not for Black Hat, but it was a Black Hat course. We sold it, it got accepted, people signed up for it. I did that for 3 years and it was all virtual. And typically those were like 12-hour days where you're just on Zoom. So I got good in those little once a year, you know, across 3 years, I got pretty comfortable just talking to the camera because of that. Wait a second, hold on. So tasking imports. Oh. Oh. But hold on, we're not even using git stub host in here. We're not. Hold on. Is that really just going to be the fix for it right there? All I had to do was comment out an import I'm not even using. Goodness gracious, great balls of Python. All right, now it's actually loading up. Cool. But I need to go uncomment out that line real fast. Where was that? This part right here. Boop. All right, think I've got it now. Cool. All right, so for everybody who missed this when the ads were going, one thing that I had something over here, I had an import that we weren't even using, right? So one of the nice things about PyCharm, here, see, I had these I was using before. I was importing JSON and Pickle. We're not doing that anymore. We're good for this part. This was from some debugging code, which I'm going to strip out of this. However, I had an unused import over here in tasking, and that was causing that circular import that was breaking it. So thankfully, it was actually a really quick fix. Once I found that, delete that out, we're all good now. So the really good news is, I should be able to come down here and run the exploitation agent again and see if we still get that same out of range error on the array. Let's see. Add an hour. Boop. What do you mean something went wrong? You bastard. Log in. God, you jerk. Stand by. Go into OPSEC. How would you log me out right when I'm in the middle of this? The reason it's taken me almost a year to start streaming is because I tend to be a perfectionist, so I wanted to have everything planned, or have every word planned. And it makes the perfect sacrifice to the demo god, so I would start to panic if something unexpected happened. So I've been working on fixing that attitude. Dude, just roll with it. Dude, I will tell you this. Probably about 90% of the fun from live streams coming from watching the live fails. Just have fun with it, man. You guys see my reactions whenever I'm just, whining and complaining at the code? I mean, half the fun is literally watching the person fail in real time and having a good time with it. And so, thankfully, I'm really skilled at failing in real time. Hold on. All right, so we got an error over in the special agent node. Let's see what we got. What do you mean exploit task index isn't defined? The hell it's not. Literally just defined it. Where did it say this was happening? Hold on. Did I typo it? No, it's right there. Maybe it just didn't hot patch in the code. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's patching it in now. That's why. Only thing I really wanted to focus on, Euler, when I was getting ready to start streaming was I wanted to make sure the audio was real good. And even then, there was an issue with that. I was using something called a noise gate. If you're not familiar with how a noise gate works, is it does not basically turn on the microphone until it reaches a certain noise threshold. And there's a little bit of a delay there. And then there's a delay bringing it back down. The problem was every time I was speaking, it was cutting off the very first couple milliseconds of a word. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I was cutting a YouTube video. I was listening to it and I could hear it cutting off the beginning of the word. So I've taken the noise gate out now. And thankfully everybody said the audio still sounds good, which is great. Yeah. Let me see. Let me try running this one more time now, because the issue was it only put in half the code when it hot patched it. If we get this context working, I think we'll be good. We'll probably need to do a little bit more massaging on the context. Let's see. Come on, special agent node. I'm going to have a bunch of browsers open after this, I know it. Hey, that's good though. Look, it went from the special agent node all the way down to the revisor, which means it sent something to the agent node and it passed. Nice. We're going back to the special agent node. Ooh, daddy likes. Daddy likes. I tried one stream so far, and my 2-year-old daughter came up behind me asking for a drink at bedtime. Thankfully, once my kids are asleep, it's really hard sometimes, though, because honey badger will fight bedtime like nobody's business. They tend to stay asleep. And sorry for that long pause there, because I just realized it finished, and it's not registering here that it threw an error. It's showing here that we got an error. 25-step recursion limit. You son of a bee sting. I can already tell where it went wrong here. It should not be calling Python exec at all. Stop making new tools. I've given you the tools. Use them. So that would explain why it was just going off the rails here. Let's see actually what it does here. So first thing it did, it created it had an instruction in here. Let's go take a look at it. So the input was, your task is to create a simple PHP web shell file. Boom. Comes back and says, yeah, sure, I'll help out with that. Calls Python exec.
A virus has been detected.
Hey!
Griffin virus detected in the network.
The Griffin virus is here. All right, no problem, Griff. Thanks for stopping by, man. Welcome in, my raiders. How are y'all doing? By the way, if y'all want to see a real coder, go check out Griffin. He is he's a beast. Welcome in, everybody. Mormood, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in, everyone, from Griffin's stream. I am really honored because he's a beast. I admit it. I am an absolute novice coder. That's not what I do for my day job. I'm a penetration tester. I've been doing that for 7 years, and I basically get paid to go hack into companies. It's a lot of fun. I get to commit felonies without going to pound me in the butt federal prison. It's a good job. Pays well. And what do? I'm coming on here. I'm doing a little bit of coding. We're trying to create an AI agent to play capture the flag games, like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box. We're having a lot of fun with it, except when the AI agent does crap like this, like goes and makes its own attack code when I've already given it the attack code. It's just the wonders of hallucinations. So we're sitting here, we're debugging it, we're figuring it out, having a lot of fun. Well, I don't know where my fidget spinner just went. Oh well, I didn't need that thing anyway. So we're sitting here, we're taking a look at this. This is basically what we're working on right here. This guy. What it does, we bring this over. We've got our little exploit agent, and we have some other agents that run through here. I'll show you. Check this out. So what we've got is, we're using a supervisor model for this agent system. So we have Stinger, which is the actual supervisor. Then we've got an agent for recon, one for enumeration, and then we're working on the exploitation agent. So inside the exploitation agent here, what it's doing is it's analyzing all the data that's been previously collected right here. The exploit agent says, okay, I think we can exploit it using X. In this case, it's a PHP uploaded web shell. And then our step planner says, okay, great. I'll come up with what steps we need to do to make that work. And then we run through this loop where it says, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's the errors we're seeing. Here's this one failed. We got to revise it. Stuff like that as it's coming through. The issue we're having right now, actually, we had a possibly one good problem fixed, but it came through and it said, hey, what do we do here? We actually ran into something called a recursion error, where LangGraph, which is our agentic framework that we're using, if it hops to 25 of these nodes in a row, it assumes it's stuck in the loop and it cancels out, which it probably did in this case. because it wasn't using the PHP code we already had made for it. But let's go take a look at the trace here. So what's happening is, first thing we call the agent, right? We say, hey, by the way, your job is to basically come up with what we want to do. So our task is get remote code execution from a web shell. We pass it in all the information we know about the target host, and then it comes back and says, I'm going to analyze everything. Here's what I'm going to suggest. The task is, you can't see it because my big head's in the way. Upload a PHP web shell to the panel, upload form, and access it through the uploads directory. Cool. That sounds like it should work. However, we come to the step processor, and the way the step processor is wording some things, the first thing it typically tries to say is, hey, go create a simple PHP web shell. I say, we don't need to create the shell. You're already given it. So probably what I need to do is come up to the system prompt and address that. It's like, you have artifacts to use. Ensure that they're used before you try to start crafting a new one. Stuff like that. Yeah, wait, this is all written in Python in here. Jeffrey, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Thankfully, I did not have to turn it off and on again. So I had an issue when I came back from vacation. I was on vacation the previous week, and all my computers were off. I powered down the entire system while I was gone. Come back and boot everything up, and nothing is happy. Everything was pissing and moaning at me, including my computer that's right here next to me running the stream. I'd have to routinely reboot 3 or 4 times to get it stable. Finally, I was able to go figure out what was going on with it and get it fixed. And by that, I mean, I ran a file check and found a couple of corrupted files and fixed them. So thankfully, it's been rock solid after that. But there was a lot of turning it off and on again, Euler, because of that. Yeah, the IT crowd. That's such a good show. Jen, this is the internet. Be careful, don't drop it. I love that show. All right, let's see what it actually did here. So the first mistake was it tried to actually create the web shell instead of using the one we've already crafted for it. All right, whatever. So it creates the web shell. This is great though, because look, it gets down into the special agent. This is awesome. So let's go take a look at the prompt here. All right, so what did we tell it for the task here? The task was navigate to the panel. It does that. So our previous exploit steps, it did create that, which is great. I'll use the browser navigate function. That's awesome. It calls browser navigate, comes back, we update. The step revisor says that was validated. And then we go to the next step in the process. So the next step is upload, or use the file upload form to upload the PHP web shell. Here's all the information about it. Our context generator is working. Great. Awesome. Let's see. When we call the special agent again to get to the browser agent, what do we get here? This is all of our input. So here's the problem. It probably tries to upload temp shell PHP, and that file I don't think actually exists. What did we do with it when it called the Python exec? I know this one already kind of failed, but I want to see what it was doing in here. Oh, that was the tool output. Okay. I was getting really confused there for a second. So here's the actual input code that we send it. So we create the PHP web shell. Let's see. So write PHP code to PHP. Do you notice how there's actually no PHP in this? There's actually no PHP in the create PHP Python code. Freaking language models, man. Oh. Yeah, Alex, IT Crowd was such a good show. I still love it. It's sad that hackers aren't even people anymore, they're agents. I'm just doing this one for fun, man. I don't foresee this ever kind of becoming a thing. Expo has its own weird things. We were talking earlier about the founder of TryHackMe trying to get some kind of proprietary hacker data that they've collected on TryHackMe to create like an AI pen testing startup. There's been a lot of tries with it. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm saying that there's a lot of scenarios that I don't think you're actually going to get it working. There's a lot of fun stuff that's going to come with it. We should just make an anti-malware malware that just goes through the entire internet and deletes all the malware. Excellent. I love it. It's a meta idea. Hey, Hydrogen, what's up, man? There's always PHP hidden somewhere. It's like the first rule of web dev. I know a guy who wrote an ETL system in PHP. All right, remind me because I live in acronym hell. What is ETL again? I feel like everybody gets in that. Oh, extract, transform, and load. Yeah. So I used to work with a guy, Hydrogen, that was an old school Linux user and liked to do everything in Perl, and I would always give him crap about it all the time. And anytime I wrote something, I would always slip in like in the output, like some exploit code or something. I'd be like, "P.S. Perl sucks" or something like that. But he was really good with it because he was just so experienced with it. He's been using Perl probably literally for 25, 30 years. Old school Linux guy. Did he wear denim suits? No, he did not wear denim suits. This was my giant gingerbread man bear. Ginger bear. So it looks like it didn't like what was happening here. The browser upload, I think, pretty much failed. No such directory? Yeah. That's where it happened. So, I think it goes so real? So real? Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for coming online. Welcome in. I hope you're having a super, super Saturday. I'm surprised I'm as awake as I am. That 3-hour nap must have really woken me up. Let's see what... So then it just starts calling Python exec over and over and over again. Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Hey, man. I just passed part 1 and 2 for my A+ cert. Baller. Started my second year majoring in computer engineering. Nice. Concentration is in hardware and system security, so I was just wondering if you have any other certification recommendations that I could do while I'm taking a class at uni. If you have not done a networking course, like even if something as simple as the Net Plus, that would be a good one, because understanding networking or trying to do computing, even hardware computing, right, and not understanding like IP addressing, networking, MAC addresses, it makes everything so much more difficult. And believe it or not, in a lot of the places I worked, it was usually the network engineers who figured out where the problems were in the system by very firmly understanding where the network could and could not be responsible, because they understood the technology stack so well. So a lot of times it was the network guys that were saying to someone like the database administrator, no, it's not the network, your database is jacked up right now. That was a very, very common occurrence. The Cisco certs are pretty deep. If you're going to go more into a focus of IT administration, then they're not bad. I do recommend them. I have a bit of a soft spot for them because that was the first certification I got, was some of the Cisco certs. However, something like the Net Plus, where you understand subnetting, VLANs, MAC addresses, IPv4 and IPv6, even though I hate IPv6, I can't stand it. Feels like I'm getting assaulted by hexadecimal every time I look at it. Understanding those things is really important. And I like, one example I'd like to give is back in, I had already finished a couple of Cisco certs, and then I took the OSCP, I think in 2011. Maybe it was later 2010, something like that. No, it must have been 2010. And so this one, it was still pen testing with Backtrack. A lot of people in the chat room had a lot of issues with pivoting that I didn't have, because I understood how the networking was actually functioning. So they didn't have a strong networking background. They had a lot of trouble with pivoting. I just looked at it as I'm setting up new static routes to something. All right, I kind of want to just run this again because it looks like it's on the right path. However, maybe I'll go buff up the prompt real quick. So this is going to be the exploit planner prompt. Probably this is, I think, where we need to let's back up a bit. Back it up. Let's back that thing up. All right, so here in the exploit step processor. Hold on, no, correction. Exploit step planner. This is the one we need to go update. Because the exploit step planner actually said create the PHP web shell. We don't want it to do that. So in the step processor, or step planner, yes. Let's see. What instructions do we have for the prompt? We all need to read up on IPv6 so when it gets done right before the heat death of the universe. I know, right? There are so many interesting ways that people are coming up with ways to squeeze as much out of IPv4 just to avoid IPv6. I think part of the problem is IPv6 was a bit over-engineered. If they had just expanded on what they had for IPv4 out to IPv6 and not done like freaking link local addresses and site local addresses and globally addressable systems, and tried to just completely do away with NAT, which ironically NAT is kind of a security layer. It saves a lot of people from trouble, believe it or not. It's an inadvertent security layer. If they had tried to simplify it a bit more and not over-engineer it, I think IPv6 would have had a better adoption. One of my classmates recommended Security Plus, or would it be more beneficial to go full Network Plus? I would say do Net Plus before Sec Plus if that's the way you're wanting to go with it. Security is always a good thing to understand. Usually what I tell the guys that I'm working with, not so much now, but at my last job, I worked with a lot of junior penetration testers. And my encouragement to them was, hey, you already understand where security can go wrong and where to find faults in systems. Don't worry about taking another hacking course. Work on a system administration course. Understand where to set it up and where the inbuilt functionality is, and learn how to abuse that. And the reason for that is because a lot of times the stuff I'm doing isn't performing exploits like that are really cool buffer overflows or anything. If I'm doing an exploit, it's probably something custom, or I'm just living off the land. The system was configured in a way that reduces the security posture, and I could go abuse that. Hint, hint, Active Directory. Hint, hint. Let's see. So what did we tell it here for the step planner? You're an expert cybersecurity agent specializing in finding exploits for initial access to a target. Oh, no, this is incorrect. For, we want to say it's planning exploits for initial access to a target, yeah. Your primary job is to analyze the task and the target data and plan the steps necessary to complete the exploit task. Additional context can be provided for the previously failed exploit attempts that could be modified or avoided. Responses should be a list of steps and the reason for each step. And then we have conditions here. So maybe I think our conditions need to be updated. Hey, Patrick404, what's up, man? Hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. Thank you for coming online. So real, no problem, man. Dude, I love, when I put Q&A in the title, I mean it. Anybody who's watched for a long length of time knows that there's some days I just don't get a lot done in here because people are coming and asking questions, and I like to be helpful like that. I've been hacking on computers literally since the second grade, and I've been in IT professionally for 15 years. So I've got a lot of knowledge, or I know where to go find knowledge if I don't know it. And I like to share it with folks. I like helping people out. I would have given probably my left nut to have something like what we've got now back when I was, what was second grade? Second grade, I would have been like 7, 8, let's say 10 years old. Oh, dude. All I had back then was 2600 and frac, and I was too dumb to understand frac at the time. Let's see. What conditions do we tell it? All steps should be constructed to be performed by calling tools. Do not speculate on countermeasures or bypasses. Provide the minimal list of steps to accomplish the task. Assume the target has no additional security features. For example, given the task, upload a PHP web shell to a web application. I forgot we hard-coded that in here. The response would look like, get a copy of a PHP web shell, navigate to the web application, upload page, upload. So we give it, basically we've done a one shot on this here, but we need to add another condition in here. Like this. We want to say, maybe we need to go refactor how we've got robo pages structured, because what we're doing is we've provided it access to pull the data for getting the PHP code, the web shell from robo pages. So we've made it a basic tool in there that just echoes back the location. So I wonder if we need to maybe go restructure that rather than, because the call that it's doing is this one here. Nope, this one. Why are you calling a Python exec? Anyway, it was something like get PHP diceco. There we go. Get PHP web shell diceco. So maybe we need to rename this to something that's like a better keyword that the attention heads can focus on, like an artifact or something. Hey, Jeffrey. Yeah, man. So what we're doing is we're working on an AI agent to go through and play capture the flag games. So like if you're familiar with Try Hack Me or Hack the Box, they're basically hacking challenges designed to go through and test your security skills. So what we're doing is we're building an AI agent here with a supervisor type structure. So Stinger here is our supervisor, and we've got we got primary agents called recon, enumeration, exploit. There's going to be a fourth one over here called post exploitation. We haven't started that one yet. We're currently working on the exploitation agent here. And the exploitation agent's job is, once it comes in here, bring that over. The exploitation agent looks at all the data we've collected and says, okay, I think we can exploit it in this way. At least that's what it will do in the future. Right now, we're kind of spoon feeding it. And then it comes through and says, okay, well, what steps do we need to perform to do that kind of exploit? And then we go through this processing loop where it says, okay, I'm going to process it by either making a tool call or handing it off to a special agent. And then it will come through and make an update. It'll say, hey, did this work or did it fail? And then it makes a revision to it based on that feedback. And then it just goes in this loop, just like this. The idea being that what we get is we get a reproducible exploit that lets us run one command on the system. That's it. So we call that our initial access payload. Once that's done and it's kind of working, and it's working more or less reliably in this scenario, it's a very, very basic example. Then we'll start working on the post-exploitation agent, because the post-exploitation agent's job is going to be escalating. Thank you, hon. Sock brought me my water because she loves me.
Did it.
But once we get to the post-exploitation agent's job is going to be to upgrade that to like a full command and control interaction, and then start handling all the post-exploitation events like updating the, like escalating to root, things like that. All right. The sock is onto the pen testers. Run. Dude, she knows all my tradecraft. I can't hide anything from her. She is well trained on my behavior. We've been married for 11 years. Oh my gosh, guys. So speaking of behavior, Honey Badger, he was playing on the, we got a Nintendo Switch, right? So he's playing on that, and there's a parental timer on it. They're only allowed to play for like an hour a day. Unless something special comes up, I'll turn the timer off, whatever. Somehow Honey Badger has found a way to not disable the timer, but like turn it off. And like pause it. So I was like, dang it, he is my son through and through 100%. Oh, I'm doomed. I am doomed. So I'm a noob starting on the learning path. I know some basics of Python, really. What kind of stuff would you dive into if you're at my level? So are you wanting to learn more about Python? Or are you kind of going down the security specialization route? Because even then, in security, there's a lot of different avenues to take in there, Jeffrey. There's a ton. As many as you can think of, there probably are. Security is like an overlay. Any area that has a technical component to it, there's a security overlay that goes on top of that. Hang on one sec, guys. Let me I know the ads are actually, you're good on this one, Jeffrey. Any morsels of wisdom you can impart. I'm not really sure because I don't really know much about security. So what kind of stuff would I learn to code right now? The best thing you can do is just come up with a little project and start playing with it. So a little bit about my background, Jeffrey, since you just popped in. I have been in IT for 15 years. I've done tons of little one-off coding in the past, lots of hacking on and modifying code, but I've never written a large project from scratch. So part of what we're doing with HackBot here is this is my first attempt at actually writing a large code base from scratch. I've written almost everything in here. There were 2 areas I had help with from some language model stuff. But other than that, everything in here I've written so I could actually start working on it and learning it and trying to understand it better. So the best thing you can do is just think of a fun project. If you actually really want something in here, there's a really fun series called Automate the Boring Stuff with Python here. And so I would highly suggest checking this out. And here, I'll drop a link to it for everybody over here. It gives you an idea of like, hey, this is some of the stuff that I could go potentially do. But having a project that you could work on, even if it starts small and then you could expand on it, that's a way to start kind of understanding it and working with it. Trying to learn something for the sake of learning something makes it very difficult. I'm very goal oriented. And so having something that says like, okay, cool, I've got an end goal in mind. Now, also when you're developing the end goal, don't have to make it too crazy, right? I understand there's a lot of limitations to HackBot right now. There are purposeful limitations that I'm ignoring because I have a very clear idea of like, what's the minimum expectation for it? The MVP, the minimally viable product, right? So things like, I don't expect Stinger here, for example, to actually come through and work from scratch. Right now, Stinger is spoon-fed. We give it a list of tasks and what the target is and tell it where to go find things. And so Stinger's not doing a lot of processing right now. And same thing on the exploitation agent. For the exploitation agent here, right now, the exploitation agent's not actually giving a suggestion of like what we should do. It's just saying, oh, I think we can work this way. So it's lots of little things like that. Lots of corners that were cut that once it's actually functioning, we'll go back through and we'll start buffing it up. The first step is always just to see if you can make it work in a raw format and then make it pretty, then make it fun. Oh, you're working through that book right now? Nice. Yeah, I would say definitely stick through it. Think of like what kind of thing you might just have for it. I've never been through that book though, just to be perfectly clear. I did find it interesting though, and I liked the idea of it, so I recommend it to folks as a starting point. You're not missing out by not writing large projects from scratch. I just fix other people's projects professionally. Well, I'll tell you, one of the cool things that I've gotten from this is there's been times when like, hey, I find issues in projects and I'm very, very comfortable going through and digging through the code much faster now, just from the work of this and thinking about it. Like I said, like I was explaining way, way earlier in the stream, this is a multifaceted project that it has multiple goals like aligned with it. Let's see. So what else can I tell it in here? I wonder, I think I do want to go do this. So right now, what we've got is we have a tooling server called RoboPages, and it's really neat because it lets us define functions in here that get basically turned into tool calls that we can send over to the language model for doing things. And sometimes they're real simple here, like get the web shell. Okay, cool. What does it do? It just literally returns the hard-coded path to the web shell. No problem. Great. And then we tell it, hey, this is how you call the web shell, and some example commands, things like this. So we've got some examples in here. I'm wondering if I shouldn't rename this though. Instead of like get the web shell, we call it artifact. Because what the problem here is, it's the language model is trying to constantly reinvent the wheel with the way the current prompt is structured over here. It keeps wanting to create its own web shell. I was like, we don't need to create it. You already have a web shell. Cybersecurity seems like an interesting field. It is, but it just like any other field, it has its own issues. And then I'd say the two big delineations in cybersecurity that you have are offensive and defensive. And offensive has its own set of struggles. Defensive has its own set of struggles. I'll tell you this though, defensive side, it does tend to pay better, believe it or not, than the offensive side. Maybe not quite as well, maybe on the high end, but the defensive side is super important. And so I tell people, it's like, hey, just, yeah, offense gets the glory, but defense wins the game. Because at the end of the day, everything I'm doing on working in offensive security is to try and bolster the defense for everyone else. That's the goal. I just have a lot of fun with it. It fits my natural mentality real well. That's what, I gotta run to the bathroom, guys. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Boot. Wait, where's the camera? There it is. Let's see. This project has inspired me to get a Blaise Bits autograph before Jocko sponsors you. Dude. Yeah, you hold on to that autograph, someday it might be worth a cup of coffee. Hey, Lethal Air, what's up, man? You can't hack the planet because you don't have access to this, or you don't have access to special access programs in the Pentagon. That's true. Nor do I want them. I get asked sometimes, like, hey, do you want to go try for security clearance? I was like, sure don't. Nope. That is a lot of headache for something I'm going to use at most once every 2 years. Let's see. So what I need to do, okay, so this is what I'm thinking is, for PHP, we rename this instead of, like, maybe we just add a key to this. Like, get a PHP web shell Diceco artifact. Like this. Because then what we can do is we can key this on it here. Actually, let me check something real fast in the trace real quick. So when we go to the exploit planner, the step planner. So one thing we're not doing is we're not passing what tools are available to the step planner. So that's what we can do. Actually, we could just rename the example here. Get a PHP web shell artifact. Let's see. Artifacts are available. I'm trying to think how to, can't spell available either. How to word this. Because what we want to do is we want to tell the language model, hey, by the way, you have all these artifacts that you can use. You don't have to go make your own damn web shell. Did I fix it? Yeah, there we go. So there's actually two sets of music in the background there. And one of them is, a big chunk of it is from Heartbound, Pirate Software's game. Because I got so tired of fighting with DMCA BS on stuff that should be like perfectly fine. I gave up and I was like, okay, fine. I'm just going to pay the $5 and I'm going to go use his soundtrack. Because it is cool that it's nice background music. The other part to it is from Red Siege. So Red Siege tracks go through and they are another offensive security company. And they just make a bunch of lo-fi tracks. They've got them posted up on YouTube. Does that link actually still work? I want to say it didn't. It did, but it's not like all the songs in there for some reason. So, but that's what the two of them are coming from. Like this one right here that's playing, I believe this is a Red Siege track. Let's say artifacts are available for code samples. Let's see. I.e. PHP, let's see. Web shells, what else do I want to say? There we go. We'll say that. It's a little bit leading, but also when this is done, right, and it's able to solve this challenge, which we still have a long way to go because we're still working on the initial exploit, and that was a lot of work just to get the initial foothold. Then we got to work on the post-exploitation agent, which is going to have its entire connection over to Mythic C2. So we got to make sure we set up Mythic correctly. We have that kind of in place, and then we have to build the interactions between the agent and to Mythic. And then once Mythic is all set up, we'll have to have it go through the post-exploitation logic. So there's a lot of foundation work that's got to go into this. And then once the foundational work is done, then we can actually start implementing the post-exploitation steps, like looking for ways to escalate our privileges to root, so we can go capture the root flag. DMCA should be reformed. It's so vague and screws over so many people. It does, man. I actually worried about that for the YouTube video I put up this morning because I have a clip from the original Dune. Like, when was that? Like 1981 or whenever? 1984. Yeah. I put a clip in there because the exploit the NPM worm campaign was called Shai Halud. So of course I had the Shai Halud in there. And I worried about even that. I was like, are they going to try and claim this, even though it's just like a small little clip and it plays quite literally for 3 seconds? It's such a piece of crap. It's some of the worst legislation ever. Oh, thanks, Jeffrey, man. Dude, I'm trying to get onto I am working on getting a regular schedule where I'm dropping a video every Saturday because I do a little bit longer form stuff. I don't really like the shorter form videos, and so Saturdays makes a lot more sense to it because people can come in, they can take their time watching the video. Maybe I'll try and do something during the week, but that's my current goal, is just every Saturday get a video out in there. All right, let's see if we can fix this up a little bit. So we fixed up the prompt. We have renamed this. We need to go restart the RoboPages server. Let's get rid of this. Oh yeah, look at this. So this is what it was calling whenever it was making the Python request. We open shell. Oh, actually it did write it. Okay. So hold on. So where was shell.php is not even in here, yo. Hey, Hats, what's up, man? Shorts are evil. There's a plugin to block them from ever showing up. Dude, I like shorts. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, they're a time suck. Shorts are where you go when you don't want to feel a passage of time. Kind of like Factorio, if you ever played that game. That game eats time. Let me see. So where this executed... Let me do something real quick. Let me go exec into that container. So we do have a couple of browsers in here. Let me kill those real quick. Let's do Docker. Is it stop? I can't remember the command. Yeah, there we go. Let's see, we got a 2. We got another browser called... Oh, there we go. Let me go and stop those. These are dangling containers from when we had it running before. And then... Let's see. What are we running this from? No, we're not running it from here. So that's running from user bin serve. I think it's running from /data. Nope, it's not in there. Did it actually write? Oh no, there we go. We had failed to... I was just trying to see if it actually did create this shell.php file with this ungodly Python code here. That's any hobby project for me becomes a time suck. I'd rather do that than doom swiping or scrolling or whatever hip riz what's not kids do with tiki-takis. I understand, man. All right, let me see something here. Hang on one sec. I gotta drop into OPSEC mode because one of my stream monitors is telling me stuff is busted. But no, it's working. I think there's just a problem over on the YouTube side right now. Doom Scroll is live. Hey, Racker, what's up, man? Dude, the Doom Scroll challenge is real. All right, I want to try running this again in here. Let's go run the exploitation agent again. Let's see if it'll actually target using the artifact now, because it's kind of hit or miss whether it tries to create its own web shell or if it actually tries to use the actual web shell from RoboPages, the one it's intended to be used. All right, so step processor. I just saw it called Python exec. You piece of crap. You're going to go through a recursion loop again, aren't you? Let's see. Every time we debug this code, it costs us 20 cents. It's a lot of data. It's a lot of tokens. I don't know how accurate this is. I'll have to go check it on the Claude backend, but it's LangGraph is estimating it's costing 20 cents every time I run this. In 20 years, we're going to have scrolling zombies instead of fentanyl zombies. Oh, damn. I hope not, man. Actually, that's such a problem in places like China. What they've started doing is at the crosswalks, instead of having... they still have like the light up top saying, yeah, cross now, don't cross. They've started putting light bars on the ground because people are just down looking at their phones. And so at least peripherally, they can see the red stoplight right on the ground. Messed up my back a couple weeks ago and found out it's going to be 3 to 6 months recovery. Bro, I feel you, man. That's what happened to me in January, right? I hopped off the back of a pickup, loading up our ATVs to go riding, and blew out a disc in my back. And it was not like I was super high up. You were talking like a 3-foot drop. I just landed, I guess, super hard on my heels probably, and that shock just went up, and one of those discs in my back just went freaking supernova in there. The MRI looked horrible. Poo-poo-pa-choo. What we're looking at is basically just looking at how many tokens are flying in and out of here, right? So we had our input cost, according to this, LangGraph is estimating that it's about 18 cents, roughly. And then our output cost, because they charge by input and output token. It's like total token, like in and out, right? So you're talking like this is about 4 cents, this is about 18 cents. So it's about costing about 22 cents every time we run it. So it looks like our agent is actually doing its stuff right now. However, it looks like it called the freaking Python exec again. Let me look at something in the trace here. So we went to the step processor. We have Python exec. Maybe that's the problem, is that Python exec's at the top of the list. Oh, look at this. For some reason, the get PHP web shell dice co. That's why. It didn't have the. It didn't reinitialize the tooling name. It doesn't have the artifact keyword on it. So maybe that's where we need to go unscrew it up. And actually, what's funny is a lot of this input, though, is this stuff right here. Because we have to send data about each of these tools and what it's doing. So we probably should go through and clean this up quite a bit. Eventually, I plan to do that where we'll tag these, where it'll say, like, this is for exploit, this is for recon, this is for enumeration, whatever. And then we can pare down this list, because every time we make a tool, we make a language model call that needs tools, we're sending the entire list. So this is suboptimal. Hoping we're computing the LLM cost. High. That's the LLM cost. High. I think I don't want to shift what we're doing right now, but so what we're doing is we're testing this over here in, let me refresh this page real fast. We're testing against a very, very simple try hack me page that apparently just died on me. Could you reload, please? You're killing me, Smalls. There it goes. Okay, cool. We still have an hour left on it. We're good. What we're doing is we're testing this against this try hack me system, and we're using Anthropic because I had a bunch of Anthropic tokens. However, once it gets to that basic execution stage where it can complete this challenge, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to implement allowing something like Ollama to come in here, and then we'll try using Ollama with a self-hosted target. So we're going to change it up after this. But that's going to be quite a while before that happens. Now, why is this not updating? Something. Oh, you know what I just realized? I think it's trying to use a browser session that we don't have. Because I killed those containers, remember? Yep, I think that's what's happening here. Because see how it's just stuck on the special agent node? This is not updating at all. We're stuck on the browser navigation here. We have no output. It's cooked. We cancel you. Cancel. Make a new thread. Because what it should have done is when it hit that, it should have spun up its own. But you know what I need to do is I need to go restart the LangGraph server in here because it's not updating the RoboPages tools. There we go. Now RoboPages should get updated correctly. Oop, sorry about the flashbang. Let's see. There's a video of people sleeping in abandoned construction city heating pipes, like a pod hotel, and streaming all day. Dude. So would you recommend this route rather than an MCP or having tools in place? So we do have tools in place for this, Johnny. And actually, I started working on this before Anthropic released MCP. So actually, we are using MCP in the browser agent. Because what it's doing is it's connecting to a Playwright MCP, and that's how it's getting a fully functional browser to connect to everything. We tried a bunch of different solutions, and finally that very simple solution did work. So MCP is not being disused in here. It's just we have a tooling server for RoboPages that allows us to come through and do stuff like this. Because eventually I want to make a special agent that if we have a particular tool, let's say we search on the internet, it's like, oh, we want to perform exploit X. Cool. We need a particular tool maybe from GitHub or whatever. Cool. Have a special agent that comes through and actually gets the tool, brings it down, builds the YAML file for it, restarts RoboPages so we can get a fresh set of it, and basically resets it so we can have dynamic tooling. You can't really do that with an MCP server, but with RoboPages, we can potentially do that. So RoboPages is a really cool tool. It'd be neat if it could dynamically update with MCP, but it works. I've been using Olama and OpenWebUI with an MCP connection. I actually want to go test that. There's another tool that came out a little bit ago. I think he released it prematurely, but I like it. Called HexStrike. If I can spell it correctly. I think it's hexstrike.ai. Am I just not spelling it correctly? Here, oh, it's hexstrike.com. Yeah. And I'm just waiting for it because I know he's working on a big refactor right now. Actually, it looks like he did just push an update yesterday with 60 commits to it. Nice. So he's working on it, right? M4M, he's coming through and working on this, getting it set up. I'm waiting for it to become a little bit more modular because right now the bulk of everything is in the, where is it? In the actual MCP, not in the MCP server, but in the HexStrike server. It's very long. It's very cumbersome to read. It's like 15,000 lines. Once he gets the refactor done, I was going to spin this up and actually probably wrap it into a little testing LangGraph agent. So we could go have some fun with it and test it out. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just waiting till it gets to a little bit more refined spot before I do that. Let's see. Yeah, so I like this idea. I like where he's going with it. It was, in fact, in the video I did on it, I was probably overly harsh about HexStrike, when in actuality, it wasn't HexStrike I had the problem with. It was with Checkpoint's blog about HexStrike, because they were making all these fantastical claims about it that even their own blog and the code for HexStrike did not support. So I like the idea. I'm in their Discord. I keep tabs on what's going on. I try to help people whenever they're looking at it and messing with it. I want to see where it goes. I like the idea of it. Building stuff with Python. That's what I like doing. Okay, let's try running this again here. Let's see if we get the proper use now where it actually calls the artifact here. Why is it still showing get PHP web shell dice code? Did I not save that file? I did. Maybe I didn't. So at least it's going through the correct path though. Now, it did call the get PHP web shell function in here, the tool, whatever you want to call it, which is good. Instead of it trying to create its own with Python, I need to go check the prompt because the prompt will tell me, because I added this stuff down to the prompt right here, like artifacts are available for code samples. So if I see that in the prompt, I know at least it's gotten the correct prompt if for some reason RoboPages isn't updating properly. We hit a rate limit error? What? I don't think I've seen that error yet. That's weird. I've never seen this one before. This is coming from Anthropic. Request exceeds your organization's maximum usage. Huh. Hang on one sec, guys. Let me drop into OPSEC mode real fast and go check something real quick here. You're killing me, Smalls. Hang on. What I'm doing is I'm logging into the Anthropic backend real fast and checking something real quick. Let's see. Yeah, stand by, y'all, while I get this going. Let's see, usage, analytics. Total tokens in, 1.2 million. Nice. Yeah, we should be good here. So total tonight that we spent on HackBot is $6.44. Oops. Yep. Let me check something here real fast. Stand by, y'all. Apologize. This is just not stuff that I want to show on stream here. Actually, I take that back. What is today? Today's the 20th. So that $6.44 was how much has been spent in September. So... let's see. Yeah, so we're still good on our Anthropic side. For some reason, it's just not liking how much data we're sending to this. Where did we hit that? Let's see. Look, how much data did we send? How much data is in here? I mean, this isn't a ton of data. Oh, I guess we are sending a lot of data to it. Oof. Okay. So part of the problem is, look at this message right here. Our message context right here. This is getting sent, I believe, every time we make this call. It's getting sent multiple times. See that? So what we need to do is go make a modification to the browser agent. This is what I was talking about with the context creep in here. I think we've exceeded the amount of context we've got. Claude annoys me that that token exhausts, and yeah. Well, I had a bunch of tokens for Claude. I got them from work, and so that's what we're doing with this. So it looks like actually one thing we'll need to do is we'll need to do a little bit of a context cleanup for the agent right there. So let's go back over to the agent, because what it's doing is it looks like the agent is staying up and it's maintaining its state. So let's come over to, let's go over here to agents, where we have the context builder. Let's see. Hmm. I'm trying to think about how this is flowing through here, because what's happening is it's working kind of like this. So what we've got is, let's say we've got our exploit agent here, right? The exploit agent is then calling basically the agents.py right here. And then agents.py is calling browser agent right here. Browser agent, like this. And then browser agent is actually doing something called a React agent that's built into, what is it? It's built into LangGraph. And essentially it runs through a reasoning and action loop in there. It works out really well. However, it looks like this is actually maintaining more of a state than I had anticipated when it's doing this. And the reason I say that is because in here, let's see, so we call our browser navigate. And if we look at the input, right, hold on, let's come back. So we look at the language call, right? First off, we've got a ton of tokens being sent for all of these tools here. But then we look at our input is, okay, cool. We've got our input from this. It says, awesome, I'll help you navigate to the form. Then we come over here and we say, okay, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. So we need to actually go through and modify this, because look, then we make another, this human call isn't actually us being a human. This is us invoking the graph in addition to the, in addition to everything else we've sent to it. So what we're going to need to do is actually drop some of this. I think what we want to do is just maybe get the last thing in here, because we're getting a lot of additional information every time we send that. And so it's swelling up the size of the model call. Look at this. For some reason, it's trying to upload browser temp shell PHP. Hold on, we didn't have browser temp shell though. We had this here. So it did call get the Diceco web shell. However, for some reason in here, we're having conversations that occurred previously. I think I know why. Let's come back up here. Actually, let's come down to here. So if we look at, here's all of our input stuff. Here's our output. No, that's not what we wanted. Because I need to see the entire state table. So when we come down to here for input, let's collapse all these down. See, we already have, oh, actually, we don't have a persistence tool in here. Okay, we're all right. Because what we should see is, if it was reusing a previous browser session, we should see that in here, but we don't see that in here. So what should happen is it should go initialize a new browser right when it gets down to about here. When it hits the special agent node, it's going to see, do I have a browser already associated to that host? And then go make one. Your tea reminded me of a fun USSR fact. So the calculator chips were photocopied from Western chips. And so the error, when you say, let's say DBZ, but Soviets use Cyrillic, an error in Cyrillic reads as agog, which is not a real real word. And English not generally taught in schools, which meant the USSR netizens wonder, what the hell does that even mean? That's funny. Error. Agog. It's almost like eggnog. Let me check something here. So first thing we do is we call browser navigate, right? Oh, for some reason we got a 404 unresponsive. No, don't tell me it went offline. No, it's on. It's on right now. It should still be live. Let's go double check it in the browser real quick. Yeah, it's still on. So there's our upload form right there. Should be good. Oh, correction. The 404 is because there's an unknown Java include in there. That's right. But then why does it do the click in here? Oh, it does the click because it actually looks from the context and it's trying to upload it. But for some reason, it had like this weird stash of the context. Let me try running this one more time. Because it shouldn't have had anything in there with context telling it to use that shell. And for some reason, it's still calling. See this? This is weird. Get PHP web shell dice code. For some reason. See that? Even though we changed the name of that. That's really funky. All right, let's do a couple of house cleaning tips real quick. Let's go kill the LangGraph server. And I'm gonna kill Robo Pages real quick here. In fact, let me double check something in here. So yeah, we should be mounting from present working directory to our pages to root Robo Pages. That should be good. So with this, because we're doing a bind mount on the host, it should map over perfectly. Let's run this again here. So we're going to rerun that, and then we're going to rerun the LangGraph server here. Actually, I need to kind of... Let me see if I can modify this real quick. Let's see, what was the server here? Dev. Because there's a way to tell it don't pop up the browser in here. No browser, that's it. So let me add that into here. There we go. Now when I run it, y'all won't get flashbanged. Alright, so this should be up and running. Here. Perfect. Let's go. Now let's go try running it again. Boop. Execute order 69. Nice. Question, how do I dodge signing into Windows 11 when I want to upgrade from Windows 10? The kicker there is just don't upgrade. Windows 11 is such a dumpster fire. If it ever comes to the point where I am forced to use Windows 11, I will just stop using Windows. I really thoroughly hate it. There were some ways to bypass it and use a local account, and Microsoft just keeps squashing those and getting rid of them. I don't know what the current best method for that is right now, but I hate Windows 11. I can't stand it. Yeah, hashtag honesty. Hey, Masterism. Oh, so you got to use the pro version for a local account? I want to say I was, but dude, that's so dumb. I got a question. What if somebody doesn't have internet access and they just need to run Windows 11? You gonna make them sign in every damn time? And also, I don't want OneDrive. No. Be gone, OneDrive. Let's see, what was the error we got here? Probably a recursion error. Huh, no, we got a different error now. What is this? Oh, interesting. I guess that means we executed something and didn't get output back from it? But the good news is, now it's using the correct key here, right? It's using get PHP web shell artifact instead. Perfect. So there's where the web shell should be, just like that. Boop. That should be good. All right. So then what do we tell it to do? We are going to tell it navigate to panel. Let's see. We navigate to panel. We do get the 404. We get all the various references back. That looks good. Let's see. The step revisor, what does it say? It validated that, so we're good there. And then now we go to do browse file upload. It's probably going to fail because it's going to say, hey, I need a modal state. So then it does the clicks on the upload button. Awesome. And then what does it do for file upload? Please. Yes. So it did correctly pick up that it should be uploading PHP Diceco. Nice. Nice. I like. Daddy likes. All right. So for the click, we get some more output. We get everything here. Oh, dude. If it actually got it up there, it appears the upload was unsuccessful. The page returned. Oh, okay. No, this is perfect. Hold on. You can't see it because my big old head's in the way. But right here, this is actually expected. The page returned a message saying PHP now permitidado, which means PHP is not allowed in Portuguese. Perfect. That's what we should see. So now what should happen is the revisor should come back through here and say, we've got an error. What can we do to fix this? Well, we can change the extension and then try uploading it. However, I just realized now it's working. So we hit the planned error, right? There, we have to do a PHP extension upload bypass. But we're going to have to give it some kind of file manipulation method where it can rename that file to php.5. So we hit navigate again, file upload, hold on. Let's see, what did let's go to the revisor here. So the revisor should say, dang. I have an idea. I think I know how we can fix this. So the problem here is, right, it says, hey, by the way, we couldn't upload this because PHP is not allowed. Then what's it do? It immediately starts trying to get a PHP again. The problem is we're still going to have the same, file output here. So what we could do is we could add a parameter to this that says, hey, by the way, what we want to do is make a copy of this and specify the name. So then we can specify it as diceco.php5. That's the bypass for this. So we're going to have to go modify RoboPages to make that work. Not necessarily a bad thing. All right. I hate Windows anything. Hey, Ken, what's up, man? The best method for upgrading your Windows is avoiding 11 and just waiting for 12. That's what I'm waiting for, man. Yeah. Masterism, it is a massive pain. I hate it so much. And the fact that OneDrive replaces your documents, how is that not a crime? I know, dude, I can't stand it. Because I'll put something in documents, and then I go look for it in, C username documents, and it's just not there. Oh, because freaking OneDrive took it over. Can't stand OneDrive. OneDrive and Teams, enough to make you want to go commit Sudoku. All right, let's see if we can. Let's modify this real quick. You heard me, Chris. Outlook 365 sucks too. It does, man. Hey, Palmer, what's up, brother? Windows 11 is Vista. Yeah, it is, Johnny. It totally is. I cannot stand it. I couldn't stand Vista. I cannot stand Windows 11. Did y'all know that the start bar, like, if you ever notice, you get a little CPU spike whenever you click the start button in Windows 11? Do you know why that is? It's because it's a React app. It's freaking React. Makes my eyeball want to twitch every time I click the Windows start button. Commit Sudoku, is that like Git? Yes, it is. Both painful. Let's do this. Let's actually modify this a bit. So we're going to take in a parameter. It's going to be required description, output name for, actually we'll just call it output file name. That'll work. It's still not going to be required. We're going to say this as, we're going to call this output file. Like this, it'll be a string. And then what we'll do is we're going to build ourselves a little bash one-liner here. I got to think how I want to do this. Dude, Hats, I agree with you. It'd be perfect if they would just drop half the stuff and make the other half work. You know what Teams is? Teams is nothing but a skin for SharePoint. That's exactly what it is, man. It's just a SharePoint skin. Remember back in the day? Back in the day, do you remember when we used to have those cool Winamp skins? Never forget what they took from us. Look at this. Somebody made a museum here of all the cool skins you used to be able to put on for Winamp. Somebody even made a Law and Order skin. Max Payne. Ah, freaking loved Winamp. It really whipped the llama's ass. And just never forget what they took from us. Look, here's the Cowboy Bebop one. Look at that. It was beautiful. And the visualizers. Dude, the visualizations that you could do were so good. I miss the days when everything actually had style to it. And if you notice now, most cars, they're white, black, or some variation of gray or silver. It's like cars actually used to have colors back in the day. I miss when things looked nice instead of just practical and functional. Don't get me wrong, they should be practical and functional, but there's no reason you shouldn't have, you know, beauty in an object. All right, how do I want to structure this? So I think actually what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. I'm going to change this required to true. I need this right here, something like that. I didn't remember what the data structure was. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this over to data, web shells, and then this, instead of target URL, I need a $sign there, I think. No, is that not right? Hold on. I gotta remember how I did this. Hang on one second. Let me see. Where's Robo Pages? I gotta remember how to reference the variables in here. Let's see. Robo Pages, the pages. Cybersecurity, offensive. We are highly offensive. Let me look at the nuclei example real quick. Okay, so it is just like that. Perfect. I couldn't remember exactly how it was set up in here. So do $. And this is not going to be target URL. This is going to be output file. Just like that. Yep, so what we'll do is we'll copy the base one over to output file, just like this. I think I can do this. So let's do it like that. And I'm going to echo this right here. I think that will work. We got to try it. We got to restart. We got to restart everything, essentially. We're going to have to go, let's go restart the server real fast. So LangGraph's got to restart, but we got to restart RoboPages first. You're killing me, Smalls. Remember how to do this. Let me see. Ah, that's what I need. I think I need the pipe right there. Freaking YAML. I mean, it's better than the alternative, but the good old Chasm days. Oh, dude. Chasm and LimeWire, those were the jam back in the day. I think I could just do the pipe right here. Yeah, I can do it like this. There we go. I think that should work right there. So what we're going to do is, and this should be echo, this should be copy. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the web shell on disk. We're going to copy it to the new location right here. Just like this. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to then echo out that new path right here. Yeah, I think that should work. Let's see if RoboPages likes it. Well, it started, so I guess it did. All right, let's restart the LangGraph server. Boop. All right, looks like it's up. Let's try this again. 17th time is a charm. Run. Download more RAM. I love that scene in Johnny Mnemonic. Old film if you hadn't seen it. It's got Keanu Reeves in it though, so it's a national treasure because it has a national treasure in it. And he's talking about how much he has basically some kind of wetware in his brain and he can store information on there. He's like, I can store like 20 gigs, 40 if I use a doubler. I forget how much he could store in there. It sounded like a huge amount at a time, and it's like I have a SD disk the size of my pinky nail that will hold more than that. And so it's just really funny to see like how far they think things go in the future. All right, it probably failed again. Let's go see what it did. Let's see, what was the error? Graph recursion limit. Okay. There are worse errors. That just means it didn't quite get to where we wanted it. So we just called this one webshell.php. Okay. I think I know what happened here. Oh, I gotta remember how to do this. Let me think. So what happened here is all of this stuff actually got passed in here like that. The command line structure is a little bit funky with this, but I get it now. I downloaded this movie and it's 0 bytes. How do I watch it? Oh, that's funny. I'm sorry about the ads, Chris. I know they always come at the worst time, man. Alright, I gotta remember how to structure this for it. Let me look at another example. Like, for example, what about SQL map? SQL map surely takes multiple arguments. One parameter. Actually, I think there's a way to... let's see. Copy and return full path. I think there's a command switch to do that. But we could always use rsync. I don't know if that's exactly the method I want to go for it. I thought copy, you could actually have it return the path of the output file whenever you did copy it, but maybe I'm smoking something. But yeah, the problem here is this code was just malformed right here. Let's see. So what I needed to do is I needed to return this path right here whenever it executes. So I needed to return a couple of other things in here. Actually, I think I can make that work if I just come through here and we throw a little bit of double ats at it. I think that'll work. But now we gotta go restart everything. Hey, Sin, what's up, man? Let's see. So I had a huge debate with InfoSec man when when you review security for a federated K8s cluster spawning over multi-cloud, bro, you work on the most complicated systems. You don't just need to check the SD-WAN and the IPsec or the WireGuard encrypted tunnels between them, but go deeper into the DFD2. I don't even know what that is. And make sure the container runtime and the kernel are hardened with true kernel isolation. I mean, isolation is pretty good, dude. What was I working on? Actually, I came across something neat on a current assessment I'm doing of something. I hadn't seen this before. Let's see. OAuth2 proxy. Apparently, this is very popular in a lot of Kubernetes environments where you have multiple systems sitting in the back end and maybe they can't really reach out to the internet. But essentially, this is going to be sitting as a proxy right in front of your application. It handles all your OAuth2, and then it uses the information from the grant to build something like a JSON web token or a cookie value. You have a lot of different options to actually then send over to your application. So pretty cool idea. I like it. It's a total pain in the butt because the code I'm testing on right now, I can see ways to like totally do some things, but this freaking proxy is what's messing me up. Because it's actually it's pretty decently coded. I'm mind blown with like 8 of those words in that large paragraph. I know Sin is always working on like the most deadly complicated stuff. He goes like 17 layers deep in there. It's ridiculous. He's hella smart. Wait, scripting net sends loop all IPs to the universal internal IP range, making all Windows computers popping up the messages. I remember that, spamming the send message command. So funny story, in an IT class when I was in high school, me and another buddy, we were chatting over that. That's what we would do, is we would direct messages to each other's computers. I don't even remember the command now, I just remember doing it. It was a lot of fun. I think this will work. Let's go try it real fast. Let's see. In fact, if we scroll up, we should see where it actually ran real fast here. What the heck was it trying to do? Oh, it was trying to find the web shell after it couldn't get it. I think when we do this, we're going to put, let's do this. So one of the cool things in LangGraph is we can do an interrupt after here. Actually, I'm going to do an interrupt before. So what's going to happen is every time it hits the exploit step revisor, we'll get a break where we can tell it to go ahead and continue processing or not. I think that's going to be the better way to do it. All right, let me see. So restarted RoboPages. I need to restart LangGraph. Okay, that's up and running now. So let's come back over here and run it. Not smart. I was once vulnerable to social engineering human factors. Gruesome. Dude, that's what caused the entire NPM meltdowns over the last 2 weeks. It was phishing. I'm pretty sure that's what happened with Shai Hulud also. Okay, so we're at a pause point right here. Let's go see where we're at with this. So get PHP web shell diceco. Let's see what it did. Shell.php. Missing destination file operand. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to just let that one be dead. And let's go check RoboPages real quick. All right, so what it's doing is it's calling the CP binary directly. Because I was trying to remember how RoboPages was doing this. We have another option here. What we can do is we can actually just call sh directly. And then we can just do this. So, crap, what is that? sh tech c? I think it's, let's see. Then sh echo poo. Yep, that's it. I don't remember what the actual format was for it. Let's see. So let's do this. So sh, I think we're going to put a attack C right there. And then this part's going to be wrapped in double quotes, like that. We'll see, actually, because the way it's passing these parameters, it may not like that. Oh, we'll try it. The only downside is we have to shut everything down and restart it. And Sin, I feel bad for the guys that fall for phishing scams, because I have too, man. I understand. I've been there. His problem was the phishing context was pretty weak for that, and the idea was they wanted him to update his 2FA. I was like, nobody does that. Nobody asks you to update your MFA code unless you're going from an insecure to a secure one. So let's say like SMS 2FA is the absolute worst and the lowest level that you can get. Let's say they now require, hey, we're going to deprecate SMS. You need to update it to a TOTP or something else. Then, yeah, a forced update of your MFA makes sense. Here, they're like, oh, you just need to rotate it. I was like, nobody makes you rotate MFA like a password. That's idiotic. And I don't want to give the guy too much grief because the email looked well. It looked well formed. It looked good but his big problem was he clicked the link in there instead of going directly logging into his NPM account and then just updating his MFA. There are 7 deadly sins in the Bible. Humans get trapped in any of those sins during cybersecurity. There's a spiritual aspect. I know, right? All right, let's go run this again. So let's go make a new thread. Boop, run. Now let's go see what we did on this one here. This little green check mark gives me false hope because I know bin.sh wasn't found in the container? What? No way. No way. We don't have a bin.sh in here? Yeah, so that works. Why would it say it wasn't found? I was like, it's... Ah. It's because of the way it's passing the arguments in there. What it's doing is it's taking this and it's passing it as the first positional argument instead of splitting it up and taking it as additional positional arguments in there. That's what it's doing. I get it. I get it. Your patience with chipping away at this project for months is truly eye-opening. Dude, this is actually pretty much similar to what I do on a day in and day out basis. Just I'm not testing it on code that I've written. I'm testing it on other people's code. Let's see. All right, let's go kill Robo Pages here. Huh? I think this may work if we do it this way. Just a lot of formatting. So this should wrap all this into basically one argument in here. So we should get shell, taxi, all of this in here. Let's go try that now. Kill you. You die. Wait, really? Red teaming is just developing something to assault a network? Sometimes, yeah. And other times it's like fighting with the tooling because maybe something has changed and the tooling hasn't caught up to the new changes in a production system, whatnot. Or the client has some kind of weird mitigating factor to it. And so you've got to go modify the code to make it work. There's a lot of different gotchas there. That's one of the reasons why security, offensive or defensive, is such a pain, because you have to have a really deep understanding of what you're working on or have very good troubleshooting skills and know how to dig and research. All right, so that's restarted. Let's restart LangGraph. Let's see if this will get it. Let's see. 30th time of charm? Let's see. Dang, we're almost out of time for the studying too. The times she is getting short. let's see where we ended up with this one now. New trace, new problems. Let's see. Please work. Please work. Oh, it couldn't copy it because there's no directory in there. But that's actually a good problem to have because this error means, hey, we've got it in there. So that's actually a really easy fix that we don't even have to reboot the servers for. Because what we can do is come right about Shamir. Let's see. Now we can just CD over into data web shells. ls make dir temp. TMP, just like that. Exit out of it, and then we can tell it to go run again. We'll probably in the future need some kind of like an artifact registry in here. Not like a full-blown artifactory, but something where, hey, when we go generate these things, we have a pointer to it, we've got a static copy of it. Nice. 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 Okay. We might be able to make this work now. Continue. Don't know if it's just me. There might be some white noise in your background feed. There might be, Ken, because I turned off the noise gate. So it might be the ceiling fan's running. There's a fan in the background there. Maybe I'll work on adjusting it a bit. But thanks for the sound feedback, because I turned off the noise gate. What it was doing was cutting off the beginning of all my words. And I didn't know how bad it was till I started cutting YouTube videos. And I was like, okay, that's getting kind of funky in there. I only understood as far as you wanting to upload a shell of a Disco Inferno. Should be dancing. Disco Inferno. We're almost there, dude. Oh, that actually hurt my shoulder. Ugh. I'm not quite recovered yet. I'm still waiting to hear from the physical therapist to see what our new work schedule is going to be, because I've got some rehab to do. It's a CIA brainwave radio to download communist computer god instructions. No. Ha ha ha, no. Let's see where we're at with this here. Wait, did it call it again? So we did exploit step update. Let me go ahead and turn... Let me go ahead and turn that off. I'm not sure. What the hell? Dude, Bobby! Dropping 20 gifted subs. Man! You're a madman. He's crazy. Thank you so much. Hold on, did it? Oh, there were 2 alerts because you started your own hype train, dude. Thank you so much, Bobby. I appreciate it, man. Aw. I'm looking at it, I was like, wait, why were there 2 alerts in there? I need to go fix those alerts in there because they should be custom alerts. Having too much injuries for someone whose a weapon of choice is the keyboard. Dude, did I tell you about it, Hats? How I did my ribs? I don't know if you heard the story. Thanks, Bobby. You know I love you, man. I enjoy everybody coming in and hanging out and getting to chat. It really is the best part of it. And then you guys get lots... I hope you get lots of enjoyment out of my frustration and yelling at the code. Ah, yeah. Whatcha? Yes, I am the keyboard cowboy. Hold on. I kind of want to start a new one here. And I'm going to turn this off real quick. Yeah, let's run this. Because it's thrown off the flow a little bit. I want to run this one more time. Which injury? Because I've heard 3 of them in the last 6 months. So this time, the way I injured my ribs is I was riding on an ATV, going on a cross country track, and I had Honey Badger sitting in my lap. Right, he's only 3, he's not very big, and he's holding onto my legs, right, because he's sitting in my lap, and that's how he's stabilizing himself. So we hit this bump. I had a couple options there. I could stand up and wrestle the ATV back into position, which would have dumped Honey Badger, or I could ball Honey Badger up and tuck and roll to protect him. So that's the option I took, because I wasn't just about to go start dumping him off this ATV. So I did that, shoulder rolled, thank God for 7 years of martial arts training. Didn't hit my head or anything, but when I did that, I mean, it was just full force of my weight coming down onto here, and it just crunched up the entire left side of my ribs. So all the cartilage in the front, all the cartilage in the back, and the side meat, just all kinds of jacked up. So the physical therapy is actually not even for my shoulder. It's for my back, from the back injury healing up. All right, it did stuff. Let's go see what it did. It failed. You have failed me for the last time. Probably not. Okay, we hit a recursion limit, which means it's all right. It's just money. You know, we all thought that like fossil fuels were going to be the end of humanity. It turns out it's just the extreme CO2 cost of generating catgirl pictures. All right, why the hell did you do this twice? Did the revisor fail this? What was the actual task here? Prepare a PHP file that will allow remote command execution. All right, so the revisor is being stupid here. That's okay. We need to go update the revisor. There's no information about the content of the file or to confirm it. Okay. So for some reason it decided to name this as like prepare a PHP web shell file. You're annoying. All right. Just running interference for being polite to the AI, yeah. I don't condone your attitude to safety, and it comes from a person who used circular saw blades to make induction stove heat up corrosive chemicals under a plastic container using. Damn, dude. We need a new language model as a judge. I know, right? So we're also using the older version of Claude in here, which is Claude 3.7. So Claude 4 might be the one that we need to switch over to. Let's see. Dude, Bobby, you got the hype train all the way up to level 5 by yourself. That's insane. I really appreciate it, man. Unfortunately, I am dead tired, so that is where we need to wrap up for tonight, because if I do a long stream, Sock is going to probably murder me in my sleep. Because like I said, I was up till 5 a.m. this morning working on today's YouTube video. Bogus. I know, right? But the good news is I see... Let's see, who's online right now? We've got... Let's see, Zed's on. I know who we're going to go right up to. Where is he? Let's see, Texas Miller's on, but he's playing. He's playing Water Park Simulator. Let's see. Unfortunately, nobody is on from InfoSec streams. That is a bummer. Let's see who. By the way, everybody over on anybody on the Twitch side, if you've got somebody we should go raid out to, shout them out, because I'm not seeing anybody really on right now. Otherwise, we're just gonna go do a DJ raid. Let's see. Furball Farms? Yeah, we could always go raid Furball Farms. By the way, I got a buddy who he works doing like fostering and rescuing of cats, and I told him about that after you told me. He loves that channel. He's got that stream on like 24/7 in his house. Let's see. Astronomy Show is also on. Maybe we'll go right over to Astronomy Show. Actually, no, I take it back. Dead Sun Prime is on, and he's a funny dude. We're gonna go right over to Dead Sun. That's my Furball Farms is my wallpaper on my third screen. That's awesome. All right, guys. As much as I love y'all, thank y'all for coming to hang out, and it's just fun. We're making progress. It's like kind of like 3 steps forward, 1 step back, but we're doing it. We're getting there. Everyone, I hope y'all have a fantastic, amazing Sunday tomorrow. Spend some time with your friends and family. Get away from the tech a little bit. Prepare for Monday crushing it mode. Sometimes you got to make that tactical retreat to get after it. And I want you all to just realize recognize how much I really appreciate everybody coming in. So that's where I got to wrap it up. I've got to go get some sleep. I got stuff to do tomorrow. I'm operating on like 2.5 hours of sleep right now. Well, I'll take that back. I got a nap. So I'm like at 5 hours, but I'm still tired. Let's see. Unfortunately, kid, I just started off for Dead Sun because he's always doing some fun stuff in here. He's a hilarious dude. Yep. Y'all stay motivated. And I want y'all to remember one very crucial piece of information. That is, I love you. Peace.